Johnny Mac, Kevin Patullo coming into this game and coming into the second half of the year, coming off the bye. You heard Jalen talk about this a little bit yesterday, where kind of right in the middle of the bye week this week, which was an interesting thing for the team to have the bye right dead smack in the middle of the season. Kevin Patullo, John, what do you want to see from Kevin Patullo? How do you kind of grade what he did in the first half? I know you've been, you're not one that is fire Kevin Patullo after 4 weeks, but what did you see in the first half? And then where do you think he can improve? And what do you think this offense, how do you think it will evolve and change going into the second half here?
Well, I think you already saw the change, and I think that'll continue. That was during the mini bye, at least until and if others adjust to it well, if it continues to go well for the Eagles, I think you've seen what they're going to do. Simple as that. I think that was the big shift this year. And we've already seen it. So you didn't have to wait for the bye week. You got it at the mini bye. But again, that's all dependent on what the opposition does on a week-to-week basis. And you've already seen that over the 2-game span with Flores shifted pretty early and they shifted back. In the case of Shane Bowen, pretty much didn't, and they went the way they wanted to go. And we'll see what Green Bay does this week. So, I think people should be pretty positive on Kevin Patullo after those final 2 games in let's call it the first half of the season. Pretty impressive, but you want to get better from a raw number standpoint. Obviously, they cured the 3-and-out problem that was disgusting early in the season. Not cured it, but it's gotten a lot better. Numbers are acceptable with the exception of third down offense, which I think is bad. Still needs to be better, but they're so good on fourth down. Sometimes, you don't factor that in because sometimes the Eagles are like the Lions, not to that degree, but the Lions play like, they'll on 3rd and 8, for instance, the Lions might run the ball to get it into a 4th and manageable. So basically that's 0 for 1 on 3rd down, but you're converting 4th down. So what really, does it really matter?
Right.
And I think some of that is sort of replicated with how the Eagles play offense. And then the red zone offense has been just unbelievable. Like one of the best red zone offenses of all time. That's how good it's been. They're number 1. They score 85% of the time when they're in the red zone. 85% of the time. Those are touchdowns. 85% of the time.
Crazy, man.
So that alone sort of buoys the negative numbers, because when you do get down there, you're converting, you're scoring, and that part has been tremendous. Overall, I think if you're being fair, which I know it's very difficult for people to be, like, this guy's doing a good job, doing a better job than, dare say, every single other coordinator in this era through the first 8 games. What was everybody's feeling on Kellen last year through 8 games, besides the running game? I mean, Kevin hasn't had that crutch, and now he seems to be getting it back, and that could really open up the passing game, and we're gonna see how that works. Now, I guess we got to talk about AJ at some point.
Real quick, I want to go to something on the red zone, because this was interesting to me, because the red zone success is obviously pretty amazing. They're sitting at 85% touchdowns, first in the NFL. Teams like Indianapolis, Kansas City are both up there above 70. Seattle and Washington. Washington's had a good run as well. Detroit, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Denver round out the top 10. Green Bay sitting there right at 11 with 62%. So the Eagles at 85%. It sounds great. John, how much do you factor in this? Because if you look at red zone attempts per game, which is how many times they're in the red zone per game, the Eagles are 29th in the NFL with 2.5. So it's a very good percentage of when they get there, but one could point to that and say, well, they're not getting there enough. Like Indianapolis, for example, I gave you their 70%. Well, they're also leading the league with 4.4 attempts per game in the red zone, top of the NFL. So to me, that's more impressive to be 70% with the amount of attempts that they've had versus the Eagles being number one, but the attempts are pretty low. I think they got to get down there a little bit more. The good news is when they do, they've been successful.
Well, that's fair, but arguably you're talking about, I don't know who number one is, but the Colts are pretty much close to every top metric. So you're talking about what has been, at least early in the season, maybe the best offense in the NFL. So if you're comparing them to them, they're not, they haven't been as good offensively as the Indianapolis Colts. And there's a number of teams, but if you look at the Eagles offense, 24th in total offense, not good enough. 19th in rush offense, certainly not good enough with Saquon Barkley and what we perceive as the offensive line. Pass offense, 25th, even worse. And people have talked ad nauseum. Why can't you throw the ball to AJ? Why can't you throw the ball to Devontae? Yada, yada, yada. We've been talking about this for years. 10th in points per game. So, yeah, the point is they're taking advantage when they're down there.
Right.
And that's very, look at Green Bay. Green Bay's top of every metric of Philadelphia from an offensive standpoint. Every single metric, with the exception of red zone offense, which they're still good. Green Bay, as you mentioned, they're still very good. And points per game. Why? Because the Eagles cash in.
Right.
Now it's very close. It's like 20.
How much do you put on like the low attempts in the red zone, though? I know it's very successful, but it is pretty low in the attempts. I mean, maybe not that big of a deal. What do you kind of make of it?
I think early in the season they were playing poor football offensively, very poor football. So I still think it's, that'll even itself out a little bit as you get through 17 games. And I think it'll obviously, the larger the sample size, the better indication you get. But they didn't play. They played very poor offensive football early in the season for the most part. Good halves here and there, terrible halves. We talked about the inconsistency, the Rams game, the Tampa game, the 3-and-outs. For a long time, they were leading the NFL in 3-and-outs. Down with the really bad teams, the really bad offenses, which shouldn't have been the case. But they solved that at least for the past 2 games. And if that continues, those numbers will start to look a little bit better. But the bottom line is if you cash in when you have that opportunity, and again, 24, 28, 25 turns into 10 in points per game. And that's how you can mask 24, 25, and 28 by cashing in when you do have the opportunity. And again, I think if people are being fair, this red zone offense has been a hell of a lot more creative than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
And I think they're surprising people down inside, and that has been to their advantage. The more of this stuff they put on tape, it should be more difficult. And I don't expect them to finish with 85%. That to me is probably not possible. But if they do, that'll be a hell of a season in the red zone.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Good context there with some of that with Kevin Patullo. John, as it pertains to the matchup with the Packers, everybody thinks about Micah Parsons. Obviously, they also have Rashawn Gary, who has had actually more sacks this year than Micah Parsons. I think we all know why, because Micah Parsons is chasing quarterbacks, like crazy, and they're running right into Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary, though, still a very good football player.
He's a good player.
Yeah, they got Xavier McKinney, who's kind of had Jalen Hurts' number a little bit. Keyshawn Nixon, and I think Carrington Valentine's going to be their other corner because they got the one guy who's banged up. Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Devontae Wyatt is their interior defensive tackle. Who kind of on that, and then their nickel corner is going to be Javon Bullard. Who kind of on that defense, is a name to watch. I want everybody to know what they're watching out there when they have the Packers, when we're going up against the Packers on Monday. I think Mike is the obvious name, but who else sticks out on that defense that you gotta take into account?
Cooper. I don't think you mentioned him. He's a
very good linebacker. Yep.
He's a very good linebacker. Very good linebacker.
A lot of Philly fans wanted to draft him when he was getting drafted.
Yeah, and he's hit the ground running. The secondary, AJ's own Jair, he's here now, but he called him his son yesterday, by the way, he called himself. But, Valentine's the guy who Dallas Goedert stiff-armed into oblivion that everyone enjoyed. So Keyshawn Nixon is okay. They don't have a great secondary, great corners, I should say. The safeties are really good. And as you mentioned, Xavier McKinney is a player the Eagles have loved for a very long time.
Yep. They were in the sweepstakes to sign him.
Oh, yeah. They were trying to get him. And Green Bay went so high, they tapped out. But he's a playmaker. And he has been, with the Giants, and he continues to be. So, they're a very good defense. They have talent at all three levels. But they've gotten, they turned the corner because of Micah's arrival. And Rashawn Gary's a perfect example of that because he's a very good player, but now he's turned into a star player. And to certain degrees, even some of the guys who haven't been living up to their potential as high draft picks, Van Ness and Wyatt specifically, are all of a sudden better players. And it's very similar to what Jalen Carter does for the Eagles defenders, even though he's not having the year that people expected him to have from a statistical standpoint. His presence adds so much to the Eagles defense. Same thing with Micah Parsons to the Packers.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there. John, what do you think of their tackles on the middle there? Devontae Wyatt, I think Colby Wooden will be the other one. I know he's questionable, but I assume he's going to play. He was a limited participant in practice. Because I think the running game is going to be big, man. I really do. So what do you think of that interior of that D-line? Obviously, they got the two great edge rushers that can get after the passer. But when it comes to stopping the run, they've been good statistically. What do you think of that interior of the D-line?
Well, Wyatt's been playing well this season.
Yeah, he has.
Which is, typical of, to the point. Wooden is undersized. So
Wyatt's a good guy. He was a Georgia guy.
Yeah, Wyatt's not. He's 300-pound guy. Wooden's like 270 to 280. So he's undersized. Mike is undersized. So in theory, if you look at where you can take advantage, it would be the run game. And obviously you're coming off a game where Carolina ran the ball very effectively. So the presumption is that's going to be, but that's one of the reasons I don't like the spot, because they're going to be they're already going to be hyper focused on stopping the run against the Eagles because of the Eagles' reputation. But you add into it Saquon. So I think this might be a week where, no, obviously you're going to try to get it established. And if it doesn't, this could be more of a Minnesota week than a Giants week where you have to shift gears, and we'll see how that works. On the other hand, maybe they go out and execute and just run it down their throat. But I think because of what happened with Dowdle, I think they're going to be minding their P's and Q's, so to speak, in the run defense.
John, feels like a big weakness here for this Packer defense is that second cornerback spot. Nate Hobbs is hurt and out. and they got Carrington Valentine stepping in. I don't think he's had a bad year, Carrington Valentine. I think he's only got 200 snaps or something in that range, so nothing, not too low, but feels like a weakness there, John. You got to exploit. He's a pretty small cornerback, 6 foot. I think he's like under 200 pounds, so pretty small. I would be picking on him. He was a 7th-round draft pick, I believe, in 23.
Yeah, I mean, they're not great at corner. Keyshawn Nixon's their best corner.
Yeah.
He's okay. I would say
That dude
nothing
hurt
more.
was pretty good, though, wasn't he?
Who?
The dude who's hurt, Nate Hobbs.
Nah, well, I don't know. Yeah, to me, he hasn't been playing well. Actually, Valentine's been playing better than him. But as I said, Valentine has some issues, as you saw with Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, right.
Evaporating him. Bullard's not good. So, I mean, I think if you look at it from a personnel standpoint, it's clearly the weakest part of their defense, the corners. But, a lot of that is masked by the pass rush.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's why they got to win on first down. John, if they win on first down this week, I think the Eagles could beat
that's a good recipe to win every week. The other part of it is to the point of if you want to criticize Reed Blankenship, which a lot of people do, and Vic defended him. Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams are dealing with that in Green Bay from a large extent, and they're playing really well, both of them, at safety. And they have to mask some of the deficiencies at corner or help mask. Now, again, the pass rate, you got Parsons and Gary coming at you, which is, and even, guys like Van Ness and Angbare, they can come at you in waves with the pass rush. So that helps as well. But clearly from just a pure personnel perspective, the weakness of that defense is clearly cornerback. Because the linebackers are great. Cooper, Walker's never lived up to his rep, but he's very athletic. But they're very good. The defensive front is tremendous, and the safeties are tremendous. So the corners are clearly the weakness.
Yeah, but I'd like to see some of that play action under center this week. I think it's the perfect game to build on that. John, let's get some super chats. Before we do that, I got a nice little note yesterday. All right, you never know who's listening, John. At our
the governor back?
No, our Screwballs event. The winner of our Eagles ticket giveaway last night was none other than the father of Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, wow.
For those who know, Sean's a local.
Did I rip Sean?
No, but he's a big listener of Bird 365.
Nice.
When he won the tickets, he mentioned that. Said I love Bird 365.
Occasionally, I haven't been kind to Sean, so
well, hey, listen, we're going to be objective. We don't care who's listening, John, but no, pretty cool that
only
Sean
for game management perspective. I think Sean's a very good coach, but game management, he's had some problems. But
he ain't the only one.
He ain't the only one. No, he ain't the only one.
No doubt. Here, let's get to some super chats. I want to thank my boy John Strasser becomes a member. John, thank you, brother. John is listening from Washington State, Johnny Mac. So all
right, Seahawks. I'm a big Seahawk guy. I'm a big Sam Darnold guy. So I think the Seahawks are legit in a lot of ways. And I know a lot of people don't believe in Sam Darnold, but I'm spiking the football on that one. That dude can play.
Yeah, well, does he go pumpkin, John, or does he not?
Well, tell me what the other 46 guys on game day are doing, and I can tell you that. But he's going to do his part. I can tell you that as well.
All right, let's go. Justo says, time to change your commercials. Justo, your $2 super chat, unfortunately, will not pay the bills, but I do appreciate you for being here. Here's Dwayne Wilkins. What's up, Dwayne? I want to see Cooper and Quinion, a.k.a. the Dudley boys, on the outside.
Why the comp for the Dudley boys, Dwayne? That's a wrestling comp, but I don't get the comp other than Devon. I guess
because they're black and white. That's probably
Devon is. I'm thinking more of the glasses, but I'm like, they don't wear glasses. So yeah, one's black and one's white. All right. Yeah, that's superficial. Come on, Dwayne. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about wanting to see Cooper outside? I think that's fair. I'm almost reaching that point too.
Yeah, I think it makes it easier for Howie from a business perspective, but I don't think I don't think Vic gives a flying you know what about the business part of it. So he likes him inside. I think he's going to be inside.
Prince says, "Damn, man, what Prince? What are you coming at me for? What? Yeah, come on, Prince. Here's my boy Harris. What's up, Harris?
What
How you
did
doing, man?
he say? Damn, what did you do?
I
That
don't
was
know.
right.
I don't know. I got to, Prince is always giving me shit. Alexander Harris, what's up, brother? Good morning, crew, to the JAKIB community. Check on your loved ones. Mental health is real, and if you're dealing with it yourself, don't be afraid to talk to someone. Shit, call me. I'll talk to you. Be blessed. Rest in peace, Marshawn Neal. Harris, I'm with you, my man. I'm with you. Reach out to me. I'll talk.
Yeah, check on your people. That's what AJ's whole thing is. Check on your people. So I mean,
It's a
everybody.
shame, John, that you didn't get to ask AJ that yesterday. I
Yeah,
can't believe nobody did.
I'll get him today.
No, I know you will. I'm just saying, like, it was obviously such a big moment.
That was the first day, and there's about 15 more TV cameras. How Hard Knocks or whatever the hell they're doing is down there.
Oh, that's right. When that comes out in December, I think.
Yeah, I don't know when it comes out, but so it
You
was
gotta watch it this year, no?
yeah, I'm there. I see it. But the insider stuff, but the Eagles do a good job, and that's all edited. So, for for maximum effect. But yeah, I'll watch it eventually. Probably not right away, but I'll watch it eventually. But to the point of yesterday was just a shit show of a day because you're coming off the bye week, plus you're coming off the trade deadline, plus you have 3 new players, plus you have AJ staying and the trade deadline and all that stuff. So it was much more crowded than usual, and those people will slowly recede to the background. So I'll get to ask him that question eventually, but hopefully today. But if not, sometime in the coming weeks.
Yeah. What is the agenda today for the Birds?
I don't have it in front of me. They practice at 2:15ish and locker rooms at 4:30ish, something like that. So, no coaches today or anything like that. Just practice in the open locker room.
No players speaking or anything? Well, I guess outside of the locker room, probably not. Good stuff there. Appreciate you, Alexander Harris. Thank you, bro. Big supporter of the show. So we do appreciate you for being here. My boy Alexander's always got good tweets too. So I appreciate following you on Twitter. So thank you, brother, for connecting with us. We appreciate all of that. Johnny Mack, a Football Friday going in. Let's look at some of the other Week 10 games in the NFL, and we'll talk about some of those. Remember, we'll have a full Monday show as well, everybody, where we'll have a chance to preview and dive deeper than we already had into the Eagles versus Packers game. It feels like I've been waiting for the Eagles versus Packers game for fucking 38 days.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. It's been a little bit since we've had
15 days it'll be by the time they kick off. 15 days.
John, some good games, though, this weekend. Patriots-Buccaneers is an interesting one. The Giants taking on the Bears, kind of a meh, but I'm interested in the Bears if they can keep winning.
Good spot for the Bears. The Bears are, they're going to be 6-3. Let's be at the Giants.
Can I spike the football on them or not really? I think you called me a looney for saying I thought they were going to.
Well, I've been a long time critic of, but it's not, look, I said the same thing happened to Detroit because Detroit was bad for so long. I say this all the time. You're drafting at the top of the draft, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you say, oh, wow, Detroit's got a bunch of good players. That's what's going on with Chicago. They've been so bad for so long. All of a sudden they're picking at the top of the draft. They start to get some big-time players, and all of a sudden they're okay. Now, ultimately, I don't know their schedule. I assume they still have to play Green Bay and Detroit at least one more time. So a lot of those teams are going to pick them. And even the Vikings are 4-4. We'll see. That's an interesting
You got the
game
Ravens this week,
because both of those teams need to win.
Yep.
And I think the Ravens are going to win because the Ravens are, by the way, their practice. Did you see the Ravens injury report? Nobody's on it. That's the one team. Nobody's on it. Now they've had some. They're dealing with Lamar Jackson, but
Yeah,
he's
right.
back. Nope, they have nobody on their injury report in the middle of the season, which
They
is
didn't even have a
amazing.
limited participant.
No,
What?
nothing. 0 names for 2 consecutive days. Nobody limited, nobody resting,
That is
nothing.
incredible.
So I think the Ravens are going to win that game. But if Minnesota, it is in Minnesota, and if they find a way to win, all of a sudden they become more relevant. So what? That's a big game for both of those teams. But to the Bears' point, they have to play those 3 teams. So those 3 teams are going to pick themselves off at some point. Because they got to play each other. Similar, and you're going to see the same thing in the West and it starts this week. The Rams are at the 49ers. The Rams are 6-2. The 49ers are 6-3. And then you got to deal with the Seahawks, who are 6-2. So those 3 teams are going to pick themselves off. So that's where the Eagles have the big advantage, because the NFC East is just,
Yeah, it's
besides
brutal.
the Eagles. So the Eagles got a real good opportunity to get the number 1 seed if they play well in the second half of the season, because all these other divisions in the South isn't really, I think, that relevant. You got to worry about the Buccaneers. But I don't, and they have a similar tract as from the standpoint of the Eagles, although the Panthers are a little bit better than everybody expected. And by the way, the Panthers are playing the Saints this week, so they're probably going to be 6-4 all of a sudden, and say, they've got a shot to be that last playoff team. But yeah, the NFC North and the NFC West specifically, those teams have to pick each other off. They just have to. You're not going to get a bunch of ties. Green Bay's got 1 tie. I don't think you're going to see a ton of ties going through it.
Good stuff there, John. Interesting week 10 in the NFL. I think Lions have the Commanders, so I think the Lions are going to destroy them.
Yeah, same here.
Although I did see good news on Jaden Daniels that he won't need surgery at all, so they're not even putting him on IR, I don't believe.
Well, they're hopeful that they can get him back,
Yeah.
but why would you want him back if
I
you're
know.
not relevant? So
Especially if they lose this week. I mean, they're getting closer to just being out of it. I mean, they're 3-6.
I mean, your thought process is maybe he could be back for the playoff stretch, but they're not going to be in a playoff stretch. So you're not going to risk Jaden Daniels if your season goes that way. So I think, if they're in it by some magical twist of fate, then sure, they'll try to get him back. But I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither for the Commanders. I'll spike the football on that one too. Thank you very much, everybody. Interesting NFC West matchup: Rams Niners this week, John. That's interesting because that West is 3 teams all sitting up at the top. In that division.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are playing the best of them all, but that's an interesting one.
Sleep on those Seahawks, but everybody does. But so you're
No, I'm not sleeping on them. I mean, I put the Rams.
49ers are clearly the worst of the 3 and they're so banged up on top of it. So I don't think they're going to be able to keep it going. You lose Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, yada, 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 and even more than that on offense. It's going to be difficult, and they're winning with Mac Jones, who is proving he should be a starting quarterback in this league.
His press conferences are so damn funny with the chuckles and shit that he does. I mean, I get a kick out of it. I see him floating around on social media all the time, but I digress. And then the Sunday night game, John, is Steelers Chargers. You've been kind of on the Chargers from the jump here. They're 6-3, even through some adversity that they've had.
Yeah, they got a lot of adversity, similar to the 49ers. I mean, I don't know how you win. The one of the reasons I picked them, despite Eagles fans' weird hatred for Justin Herbert, the quarterback can play. And B, they had one of the best tackle duos in the NFL coming into the season in Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, and now they're both out. done for the season, basically. I don't know how you replace those two guys. They tried trading for, they didn't try, they traded for Trevor Penning, who was a colossal failure with the Saints as a high draft pick. I mean, they're desperate to find tackles, and they're not going to find tackles in the middle of the season.
They did make a trade for someone. No, was it
Trevor
Kennard?
Penning?
Oh,
Trevor
Penning.
Penning.
Right, Trevor Penning.
Yeah, as I just said, he's not
Yeah,
good.
my bad.
They moved him inside to guard
Yeah, my bad.
in the Saints, and he's not good. And Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt were both great players. And you can't replace players like that. Similar to the Niners on defense with Bosa and Fred Warner. Devastating injuries for them.
Yeah. So that's, Rams, Seahawks coming out of there are going to be interesting, and then we'll see if the 49ers can hold on. But that's a tough one to hold on if you're them. Then you get the Monday night, Eagles, Packers. So a decent Week 10 slate, nothing really that good. Jags, Texans, I guess, is a decent game. They're 5-3 versus 3-5 Texans. So we'll see. Nothing crazy great, though, in the NFL.